Hey guys, I am back in my shop. I've got a really exciting project that I'm working on today. I've got an old-time friend coming over because she wants help building her daughter a full-size bed. Laurie's been building herself for many years, but the bed that her daughter requested has a really fancy scroll cut on the top of the headboard, and she was a little intimidated to do it by herself, so I told her to come over and I'd give her a hand. She's not here yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started building, so let's go. So this is what I'm building. This is a full-size bed. We've got the headboard with the scroll pattern. It's gonna have a little bit of trim cut in that same scroll. The rest of it is just 1x6s, 2x4s, and a couple of 1xs. But I think it's gonna end up being really simple to build, and the lumber was about $230 total. So I'm starting with the headboard, and the first thing I'm doing is cutting all of the headboard planks to size. So now I am laying all of my planks straight across, and I'm facing them in the direction that I want my pocket holes cut. So you can see here I've marked where the top pocket hole is going to go on each board, and I measured from the top. That way when I take my jigsaw through the design, I don't hit any of the pocket hole screws. So now I'm taking those marks and I'm marking where each top pocket hole will be. Alright, so I've got all of my pocket holes marked, and now I'm going to use my foreman to drill the pocket holes into the back of each plank. You can use any Craig jig that you have. I just have a lot of pocket holes, so I'm using my foreman, but we will link our favorite Craig jig models in the description box below. And Laurie made it. Everybody say hi to Laurie. Hi! She's putting together another project that we're working on later. Alright, so I've got half the boards done. Now I'm going to move over to the next side and get the rest. So I've got all of my pocket holes drilled in all the ends of the planks, and now I'm planking the planks together. And we get this question all the time: how do you keep your planks on your tabletop so smooth? Headboards, it's the same way. We use this guy. It's the Craig face clamp, and I will also link this in the description box below. And when we say description box below, we have a link to our website with the plans, and in that post and in that link are all the links to everything that we use. We do get that question a lot too. So the way that I use a face clamp is I just go along and put it at each pocket hole that I am attaching, and it keeps it nice and smooth while I'm attaching. Okay, so I've got all of the planks planked, and now I'm going to work on that design on the top. Now it's time to trace. I've got the design pulled up in photos. I've got my projector attached, and I've got the headboard right there. And if you can see a faint line. I'm just going to use a pencil and trace over the top of that. Okay, so that was pretty easy. I'm not a good freehander, so that solved that. Alright, so we've got the design traced on there. I'll show you what it looks like. Got a faint line that I've traced all around, and now I'm going to get my jigsaw and cut it down. I've got the planks clamped onto my workbench, and I have the design that I've traced hanging off of the edge, and right now I'm just going through and making sure that there's no pocket holes where I see the tracing, and there's not, so we're good. And since this is 1x boards, I am using my jigsaw, so it's going to be a super easy cut. Okay, alright guys, so it cut really great. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I'm going to do a little bit of sanding. Got some splintered edges, but it is looking so good. I sanded the whole top down and got rid of the imperfections, and I took my 1/4-inch plywood and I've clamped it underneath the headboard, and you can see we've got a little bit under there so that we can do the bottom tracing, but gonna just use my pencil and trace this right here so that I can make that cut. So pretty. Okay, that was just so easy. So now I'm going to unclamp it from the headboard and put it with my jigsaw. Okay, so I've got my design all traced out, and I'm just gonna use my jigsaw and make that cut. All right, I'm gonna give it a little sanding, but I'm super happy with how it turned out. So we were having a hard time seeing in the shop, and it was really easy to bring the setup inside, so we've got it all set up with extension cords, lovely assistant, and I'm just gonna trace along the line right there. So I've brought this back out into the shop, and now I'm just gonna follow that line that I traced really slowly, and then we'll have our trim. Okay, got the trim piece cut. Now I'm gonna give it a sand down, and I'm gonna try it on for size. So I've got the headboard on the ground, and now I'm going to attach that trim that I just cut out of that 1/4 inch plywood to the top of it. And I'm going to do that with 5/8 inch brad nails and wood glue. And this is just going to give the top of the headboard a little more character and kind of finish it off really pretty. And to line it up and make sure that it's even, I am doing both sides. I put a nail in one side and I'm adding it to the other. Alright, that's not going anywhere. Now I'm going to finish the rest of the headboard. So the next step, I am adding the posts on the side of the headboard. And those are just 2x4s that I've ripped down to 3 inches wide each. And they're going to be flush with the back of the post. And I'm using 1 1/4 inch pocket holes to attach. So I've also put, because they are going to be flush with the back, I've put 3/4 inch spacers underneath the headboard to hold it up so that I can attach. And I am attaching 8 inches from the bottom of the post. And I'm just making sure to push down on the headboard as I'm attaching to make it flush with the back of the post. Alright, I've got both posts on. Now I'm going to flip it back on its back and finish the trim on the front of the headboard. So the first piece that I'm going to add down here is the 1x4, and it's just a piece of 1x4 cut to size, and it is just to secure the headboard slots. Okay, so I've got my 1x4 trim cut to size, and I'm just going to glue it 4 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And remember, that measurement is on our free printable plans, so you don't have to remember it. And I'm attaching this with 1 1/4 inch brad nails and wood glue. So I've cut the middle 1x4 trim to size, and it needs to have a rounded top so that it fits right there. So all I'm going to do is take this 1/4 inch piece that I've already cut, and I'm going to center it up and just trace it. So I marked center on both of them. I'm going to line it up, trace it, and cut it with my jigsaw. So I've cut the trim piece. I got the round part on top. I'm adding some wood glue, and I'm going to attach it to the headboard with 5/8 inch brad nails and wood glue. Okay, headboard is done. It just needs a good sanding, and now it's time to move on to the side rails and the footboard. So I've got the headboard done. That is the hardest, most tedious part of this build. Other than that, it's the side rails and the footboard, and they are all the same cuts. It's very simple to put them together, so we're going to be moving fast on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is build the side rails, and that is going to be with one 1x8 board and two 2x4 boards that I've cut to size. I'm going to drill 3/4 inch pocket holes into the 1x8 on both sides so I can attach those 2x4s. Alright, and I'm also going to put pocket holes at both ends of the 2x4 so I can attach everything to the headboard and the footboard. I've drilled all my pocket holes into my side rail pieces, and now I'm just going to attach the 1x8 to the 2x4s. And I'm doing that with 1¼ inch pocket hole screws and wood glue. And the inside of these side rails is going to be flush with the inside of the 2x4s. So I'm putting 3/4 inch spacers underneath the 1x8 board so that it'll line them up. I've got the 1x8 attached to the 2x4s. Now I'm going to attach the cleat. That's going to be what holds those bed slats on. And that is a 2x2. I like to rip my 2x2s from 2x4s because it saves money. A 2x2 at my hardware store, you have to buy prime, and it's about $9. And I can get two 2x2s for $4 if I rip them from 2x4s. A little budget savvy idea. So I'm going to attach the cleats 1 inch from the top of the side rails, and that's going to be what holds the slats for the mattress. And I'm going to attach this using 1 3/4 inch wood screws and wood glue. Alright, so I've got one side rail done. Now I'm going to work on the second. So both side rails are done, and now I'm doing the footboard. It's the exact same thing, it's just shorter. We've got the 1x8 and the two 2x4s. I've drilled all my pocket holes into all the boards, and I'm going to attach the 1x8 to the 2x4s. Again, I'm using spacers like I did on the side rails. One thing that's different is that this 2x4 on the top is going to have pocket holes. These are 3/4 inch pocket holes drilled into one end. That's going to be so that we can attach that trim to the footboard. So make sure your pocket holes are facing the right way on that, and make sure they're 3/4 inch, because that's all you need. Okay, that's done. Now it's time to attach the legs, and these are also 2x4s that I ripped down to 3 inches wide. They're going to go on each end with their facing forward, and they're going to be flush with each other and flush with the top. So I'm attaching with 2½ inch pocket hole screws from the 2x4s. I've also drilled 3/4 inch pocket holes into the 1x8 to attach that with 1¼ inch pocket hole screws. So you'll use both sizes. I'm attaching the top trim now to the footboard, and I've got it upside down with the pocket holes facing up, and I have 2x4 scrap pieces underneath the footboard, propping it up so I can get it flush. You want the inside of the 2x4 to be flush with the inside of the footboard. Wood glue on the top, and I'm attaching this top trim piece with 1¼ inch pocket hole screws. So I've got the glue on, and I'm just resting it on 2x4s underneath. They're scrap 2x4s just so I can make sure it's flush. And I'm attaching it to the top trim 2x4 with 3/4 inch pocket hole screws and wood glue. Footboard is assembled. It's so cute. Okay, so I've got the footboard completely assembled. We've got to get this back to Laurie's house, so we're going to leave it unassembled for now so that she can sand it down, stain it, get it in the house. I can't wait to see what it looks like in her daughter's room. GoPro batteries just on the ground. Well, just like that, guys. GoPro, stop recording.